You know your team is bad when your backup quarterback has officially requested a trade. Falcons fans, I wish it was better news, but now Kirk Cousins, the player that every single person was clamoring for to start over the injured Michael Penix Jr., maybe not everybody, but a good chunk of people, has now officially requested a trade from the Falcons per his agent and from USA Today. My name is Trace Moustakis, but please call me Moose. And question for you Falcons fans, does the drama ever end? I mean, this season, it's one story after the other. It really is. And when your backup quarterback is now requesting a trade, you just know that you're in the dumpster. You cannot be more of a joke of a franchise than you already are, because I cannot believe that this is a real story that we have to talk about. And yet, it still came out today. It's still being reported. It's been out there multiple times. Kirk Cousins wants a QB1 opportunity ahead of the NFL trade deadline. Per USA Today, this dropped earlier this morning. And it wasn't just USA Today. Dov Kleiman said Falcons star quarterback Kirk Cousins wants to be traded to a team that has a QB1 opportunity as the deadline approaches. The Vikings make a lot of sense. Okay, so we're going to start with how I feel about Kirk requesting a trade, and then we'll get into a little bit later the fit with the Minnesota Vikings. First thing, and this is a message to Kirk, my guy, who wants to trade for you? Do you really think the Vikings want to do that? Like, let's be so for real right now. You look like you're 55 years old on the field. You have literally no mobility. It's less than Michael Penix Jr. You've got stone feet in the pocket, a literal statue. You have no more zip on your football. It's like throwing a pillow. That's what it looked like against the Miami Dolphins. And you dinked and dunked your way down the field all game long. Now, again, part of that is on Zach Robinson. In fact, I'd say a large majority of that is on Zach Robinson. But here's Kirk's passing chart. Look at all of it between 0 negative yards through that 10-yard mark. It's the majority of his passes. Majority of his passes were at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, and before 10 yards. You can't move the football down the field whatso-frickin-ever. And yet you still believe that there's a team out there that's going to be like, hey, that 173 you put up against the Dolphins, my guy, that's worthy stuff. Let's get you on over here and get you integrated into our system. And this, by the way, coming from a player that has commanded such a high salary every single year that he's been a serious starter. I mean, Kirk Cousins' agent should be in the Hall of Fame, because Kirk is the prototypical, like, NFL quarterback, right? Like, if you were to take a 2007 quarterback, it's Kirk Cousins. Like, he's just good enough to be a franchise quarterback, and yet not good enough to ever actually have his team in contention for anything. And at some point, Arthur Blank, Terry Fontenot, Rich McKay, apparently, you have to say, screw the money. Screw the money. We'll eat the entire salary for the year and get rid of the guy. Send him to Minnesota, because for the love of Christ, I cannot deal with a backup quarterback telling me that he wants to be traded. That is insane. He's the only backup in the league that is requesting a trade. And if Kirk doesn't want to be here and help his team when he's called upon, kick his ass out. Goodbye. Leave. Because what are we doing? He's a backup for a reason, and a backup nonetheless that costs $27.5 million. There are teams that laugh at you, Kirk. They're laughing at the Falcons. They're laughing at Terry Fontenot. They're laughing at the organization as a whole. Because over the last year, this is just from 2024 to 2025. You fired Jimmy Lake. You play no starters in the preseason. You didn't get Kirk any snaps in the preseason either. So any type of momentum you could have seen and really good performances in the preseason, you squandered away because you didn't give him a single snap. You played Easton Stick every game. Every game. You had the Ray McCLoud situation. You had the tampering with Kirk Cousins. That's your first red flag that Kirk's a loudmouth. You drafted Michael Penix Jr., you kept Kirk Cousins knowing he was a massive cap hit, and you fired Ike Hilliard, which is clearly proving to be the most liked coach in that locker room. Did I miss anything? Holy cow. Like, a backup quarterback requesting a trade is insane. It is literally the definition of you're incompetent at your job. If you have a backup quarterback, and granted, it's Kirk Cousins, right? He's a name. He's been a starter. You signed him to be the starter. Just let me know. Should they trade him or cut him? Because here's the good news. Here's the good news. And this is the only silver lining in all of it. If Kirk Cousins stays on this team throughout the 2025 season, the Falcons are going to cut him post June 1st. It's a $35 million cap savings. So he'll either be traded or he's going to be cut, because I can guarantee you he will not suit up as an Atlanta Falcon next year, and I don't want him here. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Did you know Prize Picks, you can now follow other players directly on the app and copy their lineups in just one click, whether it is a friend, a celebrity partner like producer Alper on the ones and twos, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the brand new feed tab over on Prize Picks. How do you play? It's very simple to play. Just pick the player, the more or the less on their stat projection, and then watch your money multiply. Up to 2,000 times your money this football season on Prize Picks. Just download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. I want to be so perfectly clear with everybody watching currently. As a Falcons fan, I want players that want to play for this team. Kirk Cousins is further dividing this locker room. Because now the Falcons players wake up this morning. They drive into work just like you and me. They get ready for practice. They listen to what their head coach has to say. They listen to what their offensive coordinator has to say. And whether they agree with it or not, they put up with it. And then they hear this from their backup quarterback that he wants to play for another team. I would alienate him in the locker room. That's the petty side of Moose. You don't want to be here? Nobody's going to talk to you. Sit on the sidelines, Kirk. Sit on the sidelines. How can anybody sit there and actually say to themselves, as a true Falcons lover, yep, I'm still rolling with Kirk Cousins? That is insane. And I've said that word like 80 times today. But it's true. A backup quarterback should keep his mouth shut, especially one that costs as much as he does. I would have more respect for a backup quarterback like Easton Stick, who said, hey, listen, I want to get on out of here and test my waters in free agency because this is not working for me. I'd have more respect for that than to hear Kirk Cousins, who's 37 years old, going on 57 years old, say, I still think I can be a QB1. It's arrogance. It's arrogance. You played like shit against the Dolphins, and yet you have the balls to come out and say, I can still do it, guys. I can still sling that rock. Then why didn't you? Why didn't you? If you're so good, overcome your adversity. Overcome the incompetent play calling. But you can't. You can't. Because you're Kirk Cousins, and you're a product of your environment. This is proving to me that the Falcons need a full rebuild. And I'm sorry if you're a Falcons fan that likes all of the players that we've accumulated, the talent that we've accumulated. This is proving to me the Falcons still need a full rebuild. They do. So, because this season alone, you've had the constant injuries, which tells me you've had a lack of body preparation, right? I don't know what goes on at practice with these guys. I don't know what kind of nutritionists they've got. I don't know what kind of strength and conditioning programs they've got, but clearly the players are suffering day in and day out with their injuries. The Ray McCLoud situation, Kirk Cousins requesting a trade, and of course, you fired the only coach that anybody liked in the building, and that was Ike Hilliard. And you had to make a tough decision, Raheem. You're not the guy for the job. You're not the guy. I would resign. I honestly would. Save yourself the embarrassment. It is okay to admit that you failed at something. Everybody fails. I've failed more times in my life than I can count. I failed at this job more times than I can count. But I still come back every single day and I make the adjustments to get better. You don't. So how do you start the rebuild? Moose, you're talking about a rebuild. So how would you start the rebuild if you've got all the answers? Glad you asked. I do have a 5-step plan for this rebuild. Here's exactly what I would do starting today, moving forward until we start the 2026 season. Are you ready for it? Here's what I'd do. I'd trade Arnold Ebikete for some draft capital. He's been a name that's floated out by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Ian Rappaport, and a multitude of other NFL insiders as a name that the Falcons could trade for. I'd trade him for some draft capital. Even if that means you get a 3rd-round pick, do it. I'd fire Raheem and his staff immediately. You're gone. I'd make Jeff Ulbrich the interim head coach. I'd have to clean up my salary cap at the end of the year, meaning there are going to be players that want bigger contracts, right? Players that want to re-sign for more dollars, and I'd have to make the tough decision to say, look, we need the core players that make a difference for this team on this team. So I'd clean up my salary cap that way. You can push that forward, Alper. That's how I'd clean up my salary cap. I'd get rid of Kirk. I'd get rid of guys that are costing us way too much that aren't the core players, and I would just start fresh. I'd hire Brian Flores and Ryan Grubb. Brian Flores, leader of men. Brian Flores, great defensive mind. Brian Flores, aggressive. Ryan Grubb, Michael Penix Jr.'s offensive coordinator at the University of Washington. That would be my combo. And then I would get so active in free agency, it kills other teams. I would be calling every player that's worth a damn to get onto the Falcons and say, we're going to start rebuilding this program from the ground up. And if you want to be a part of a winning culture starting today, that's how I'm doing it. Who are some of those free agents that I'm talking about? Mike Evans, George Pickens, Travis Jones, Alontae Taylor, Alec Pierce are just a handful of players that are going to be free agents next year. And notice, 3 of them are wide receivers. You want to be paired up with Drake London? Let's go. I could see them going after George Pickens. I could see them going after Alec Pierce. Mike Evans, a little bit tougher of a sell. He plays in the same division. Alontae Taylor, same division. Tough sell. But I think you could. I think you could. Is it time for a full rebuild of the Atlanta Falcons? Yes or no? To me, it's yes. It's yes. Now, I'm not saying scrap every player. I want to be very clear about that. I don't think you get rid of Bijan. I don't think you get rid of Pitts. I don't think you get rid of Drake London. I don't think you get rid of anybody in that secondary, right? Like, I don't think you're getting rid of A.J. Terrell. I think what you need to do is just clear up as much cap space as possible and get as many NFL veterans to join this new and improved Falcons team when it happens. Subscribe to the channel, like today's video, and as always, rise up and be cool.